Alright guys, gonna do a little bit of a different video today. Got my 2024 Golf R here. It's pretty much stock other than intake and Unitronic Stage 1 Plus tune. So the stock exhaust on these actually sounds pretty good. It's got valves from the factory up here. Kind of see them right through there, the little controller. It's in this one so you can't actually see the butterfly, but it's in the right hand or outside pipe. So it sounds pretty good. A lot of dyno tests have shown there's not really any performance to be had. So there's not any gains other than maybe a little bit different sound and the exhaust tips. So I can't stand the stock exhaust tips. They look like something that should be on a crossover SUV. So rather than spend the money for a full exhaust system, what I will be doing is chopping off the stock tips. And I got these Akrapovic, or however you pronounce it, tips off eBay. Came from Europe. $400 for the set, shipped, which is kind of pricey for exhaust tips, but compared to a $1,500–1,600 exhaust, still nice savings for really just the look that I was going for. So these are about, I think, 2.5 inch, and I can actually measure and show you guys here on the stock exhaust. It ends up going to a straight section right after the taper. So what I'm going to do is cut right here to install the tips. You can see here it's got plenty of distance. So if anything, these are going to stick out a little bit past the stock ones, which will still be within the bumper. I think that's going to look nice. And just going to cut the factory tips off right here. So going to get that measured and marked up. Just cut them off with a standard reciprocating saw. And get these tips aligned and see how it looks. Alright guys, got the tips marked and about to cut them. Gonna give you a view kind of here of what I'm gonna do and then show you the process. So just marked right here, all 4 tips. Tried to be pretty even and just get right after the taper. You can see right here where it starts to taper and be flat. Tip should be pretty forgiving. There's about at least 3/4 of an inch there flat section on all 4 tips, so you don't have to be exact. And the clamp for the tips will allow you to adjust as needed. And you can see above the tip, so you got a pretty big area there. There is a little plastic bracket off to the side, and then you got the crash bar, but no wires that are in your way. The valve is back here, so shouldn't have any issues cutting these off on the car. I'm just using basically a standard reciprocating saw with a metal blade. So we'll get suited up here and see how this goes. Alright, so got the first tip cut off here. Pretty straight. I'll come back and clean those up with a file before we add the tip. But I think what I'm going to do is grab that really quick, clean this up, and then get some measurements here. Show you the fit of the tip, and make sure it looks good before I commit for the other 3. Alright, so just so you have some perspective, if you're looking at other tips, I'm going to measure the outside diameter here. So that's a little bit of an oval shape, about 2.395. By 2.435. And the tips I got here start at about 495. You can see the design of these has quite a bit of area for it to shrink down, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I'm going to grab a file, clean this up, and see how these go on here. well, I can do the final adjustment later. But I think that already looks pretty good compared to the stock tip. And, you know, yeah, you can kind of see the lip right now, but I think after running it for a while, you know, that'll darken up. Can also kind of push that back farther. So we'll experiment with that when I get all the other ones on there. But, yeah, I'm going to zip that one off. I think it's going to work out nicely, and we'll do all four and see what it does here. Whew. Let me tell you guys, German steel is a real thing. That is not like cutting cheap exhaust from eBay. And that's what they, Bosch made in the USA torch blade. And look at that carnage already. Probably gonna have to switch for the next one. That's pretty wild, even for stainless. Alright, well, we got two here. I definitely want to see how these look, so. Alright, so those are pretty far on the outside of the tube. Should be plenty good. Could always add a tack bead there, but step back and just give a visual of what that looks like. From the outside, I think they stick out about the right level personally. Definitely a lot nicer aesthetic in my opinion. I rotated the badging there. You can see on the outside of both tips. Just again, looking at the factory versus the aftermarket. Might push that one in just a tad bit, but not bad. So I'm going to tack those off before I do cutting because they're just going to vibrate off, and get the other two mounted and then do some final adjustment from there. Don't think I'll use these blades again. Milwaukee should note that it's rated for only 2 Volkswagen exhaust tips at a time. Alright, so doing it on the car, definitely not quite on my lines perfectly. Would have definitely been able to do a nicer job, but it's pretty straight. Tips are pretty forgiving. And again, you know, it's mostly on the straight section, which is important. So if you're looking at doing this yourself, don't think you need to be too stressed about making it perfect. I think you got a lot of room for error here. So we'll grind these down, file them out, and then get all 4 tips on and adjusted. Just for reference, using a flappy paddle wheel, so whatever Home Depot's brand is, been pretty happy with those. And they just screw right on and off, so you don't have to use your tool or anything. And again, another blade sacrifice to the car gods there. So. Alright guys, not saying that's perfect yet, but I think what I'm going to do is lower it down to the ground, kind of do the final adjustment. You know, I think it's easy to adjust it down here, get it kind of close, but I think how it sits on the ground is going to tell me how I want to adjust it compared to the diffuser. But just looking at these, I mean, again, you got probably 1.5 inch adjustment on the slots. Again, they're just tips, so yeah, the slot's exposed, but this entire outer shell is actually just hollow to allow for air. So again, once they darken, I think you will not be able to see any of the tube inside a tube effect. And again, you know, you're looking from here, not right in the tip. So I'll get a snapshot of these, how they look after they darken up a little bit. Also do a sound clip of kind of the stock ones, which I did earlier, versus these, see if there's any sound difference. But yeah, $400 compared to you know, $1,500-$1,600 is what I was looking at for the APR system. Pretty psyched with that. Kind of has a nice, more aggressive look to it, and we'll see how it does when I get it back on the ground. All right, finished product back on the ground. I think they pretty even. Measured the best I could. I could see the badging from both sides. Kept kind of the factory staggered look. Spaced pretty even across the back. And straight on, it's a huge improvement from the factory tip, so definitely a worthwhile investment. So we'll get it fired up here, warmed up, and see if it makes any sound difference.